On the other side, though, Zillion. For those of you guys who know Pooters, you know that that's a absolutely directed ban against Pooters. You see Pooters on the other team, you want to take out Zillion. He's just crazy with Zillion. He does, I mean, it's sort of a backcap strategy, but it's really just he keeps the enemy team so distracted for the entirety of the match. So it's just something you don't want to deal with, because if you ignore him, you can't just ignore him either. If you ignore him, he's gonna cap a point. So you need to keep dancing back and forth, and so you need to then decide who do we sacrifice to not have in our team fights. And if the other team is prepared to fight 3v3s and they have a better composition around that, it's going to be absolutely difficult. So a very, very good ban against the team of Field of Vibe today. Alright, so we do have the other bands that have all finished. It's going to be Jace, Darius, and Yorick coming out from Field of Vibe, and it's going to be Pantheon, Kassadin, and Jax coming out from Plus5. Nothing completely out of the ordinary. We saw some of these bands earlier. The ones we haven't seen, or actually there's only one we haven't seen. It's going to be Darius, and Darius has really risen as a I don't really want to say bruiser. Darius is more of just an AD caster. He can be an anti-carry, but he can also be an anti-tank with that true damage. But he has excellent burst. He has okay sustained damage, especially with Hemorrhage. He's able to stick to people quite a bit, but he's not necessarily going to get too tanky compared to characters such as Jax, Yorick, or Wukong even. They may be able to get a little bit tankier and still not sacrifice as much damage. Darius benefits a lot from having a lot of damage. You could, of course, build him with a lot of sustain and then just go for that true damage nuke. His base damage is also quite good, and so he's kind of in his own place as more of a caster, but still quite tanky on his own. We do have quite a few picks that have come out for both teams. For Field of Vibe, they went ahead and locked down Urgot right away. I've seen Urgot picks, but I don't know if I've ever seen Urgot be snatched that quickly by one team just because he wasn't banned. There were quite a few other champions, once again, that you see often that weren't banned. For instance, Malphite was not banned, has not been picked up by either team. Diana has not been banned, not picked up by either team. But of course, not going to question these guys. These guys are among the best in this realm at the moment. Of course, we have seen rising stars coming out to dominate Dominion. But Field of Vibe, Plus5, these are names we've become accustomed to. So, I mean, if they have especially a composition they want to work with, these champions may be overlooked. Urgot, of course, is a great champion, though. But then there's Jarvan coming out for Team Point Defense. Jarvan is crazy. He has a lot of neat little tricks you can do with your micro. You can dance around and position your flag, your Damascene standard, and then go with that Dragon Strike to jump over and get that knock up while decreasing the enemy armor. Of course, you also have the Cataclysm, which a lot of people know that it can either help your team or completely actually make it a disadvantage for your team. But in this map, if you have the advantage, if Jarvan's the one jumping in or if he's the one kind of isolating, it's great because, again, the pathways are so narrow on the Crystal Scar that you put down one Cataclysm and it just completely zones out the fight. So if it's well placed, it's even better, I feel, on Dominion. We do have Ezreal actually being picked up by Team Point Defense, or Plus5, as I will most likely be calling them for the rest of this match. And then Singed and Rammus were actually locked in. I hope that Rammus, whoever ends up picking up Rammus on Point Defense, has the full metal Rammus skin that was recently released. It is absolutely cool. I personally just really want it, but I do not have the cash for it, so I don't own it yet. On the other side, on Field of Vibe, we do see that Lee Sin, alright, I almost just went completely over that, but I have to say, I have been waiting to see a Lee Sin in a Dominate Dominion game. I actually might have seen Lee Sin being pulled out by one of the newer teams a few weeks back, but they didn't take Revive, so you could tell they were a newer team if that was the case, and so even if Lee Sin was playing well, it doesn't really go into my memory because the game was relatively quick. If one team doesn't have Revive, the game's going to be quicker because the other team just has so much more time to hold on to points so that they can retaliate. But I'm very excited to see Lee Sin. A lot of players agree that Lee Sin is good, but it's the situation where he's not as reliable. He needs just an absolute precision gameplay to come out to his fullest potential. I mean, he's mobile. He has a lot of damage. He has some good CC and AoE damage, but pretty much all of these are skill shots or the indirect skill shots, as in you. Let's see, you launch the champion. For instance, you see Dragon's Rage on his ultimate. You launch the champion, so your positioning, your directional stance on that matters. Of course, the skill itself is a targeted ability, but what happens afterwards is more or less a skill shot. You have to think these things ahead. If you want to go ahead and do some sick combos with wards, jumping over walls, you need to think 2 steps ahead. You need to have positioning ready, a lot more map awareness. And so Lee Sin, very, very high skill cap, but I have full faith that we're going to see some crazy Lee Sin plays. It appears coming out from Buddha Rice, as I'm not seeing any trains happening just yet. We do see that Lulu and Zyra were actually the last picks, both of them being picked up. Slightly interesting there. Lulu, of course, as I mentioned earlier, very, very strong support champion. And Zyra, we've seen being pulled out as a support-ish utility mage before. But are we going to see it again? I mean, they don't have any other magic damage aside from Lulu and Zyra, so we may just see actually a full damage Zyra, maybe with a little bit of tankiness. You know, sit around, keep putting out plants with that extra cooldown that you have. You can reach 40% cooldown so easily on Zyra because you get 20% just from your seeds, from the passive of your seeds. So she's going to be really hard to deal with. Even after the slight hotfix nerf, she's still in a really good place. And then Poppy is actually the champion I didn't mention. Poppy, if you've seen Poppy players on Dominion, it's crazy. It's basically the same notion as Twisted Treeline, where the map is small, so your speed helps, but then the pathways are small and they have just walls everywhere. They have curves, so you can really angle it any way and you'll get a guaranteed stun. Things like that. If you ever get a fight in the jungle area, it's not really a jungle on the Crystal Scar, it's more of a village, but the inner area where it's not the lane, that's just going to be devastating, especially after she gets her ultimate. And she's just going to run around with no fear if she puts it on the right person. I mean, 4 people have some form of CC on point defense. But for instance, if she puts down her ultimate onto Ezreal, while he might be able to do damage, if she catches up to him, stuns him, and nukes him, that's not going to matter. So we'll see how Poppy goes about that. Once again, these teams are Feel the Vibe on the blue team and Point Defense, or Plus5 as their acronym is, or their label or tag, whatever word you may choose. There's so many words these days across different game genres, but that is what they will be called throughout this game. It's going to be Plus5 on the purple team, and we'll be jumping right in. Oh, Ryze was the last pick. I totally looked over that. Ryze being picked up by Necrogen. Ryze, quite a strong champion. I don't see him as often as I used to, but he definitely hasn't necessarily fallen out of favor. It's just some other champions have fallen into favor. One of those situations where it's not necessarily that champion got weaker or worse, even relatively speaking. It's just kind of, playstyle shift, meta shift, team compositions shift, and you just see a rotation. And that's actually the beauty of League of Legends. You see that happening on both Dominion and Summoner's Rift. You see just kind of, it's not necessarily that one champion got nerfed or buffed. It's just people keep looking for counters and different team comps, and it just goes into this long cycle of rotating through champions. Alrighty. Oh, I totally forgot. I was going to go ahead and talk about the summer spells, but then I realized I didn't have them uncovered. So there isn't too much to talk about there, though. We have fairly standard pickups. We have not mirror pickups. We actually have a Ghost and Flash on Pooters, who's going to be playing Lulu. A lot of support players often do not take Revive, as they're usually just sitting back and putting out some poke, especially with someone like Lulu. You have such long range to put out poke and damage, but then you can also use Wild Growth from behind to help your teammates, that you're of full use while being completely out of danger. Of course, unless the other team just puts all of their energy in to try to catch up to you. So we have Ghost and Flash. Pooters may actually still try to go for his classic playstyle of going back and forth. Lulu is still quite mobile, and if we see that happening, who's going to be the one dealing with this mobile, annoying Lulu running around amok next to their base? I don't know. We'll see if Point Defense pulls this out. Of course, I'm sure they are well aware that Pooters has full capability of doing this, especially after they see those summoner spells. So we're going to be jumping right in. This is round 2. So if we go through the lineup at the top, which is going to be the blue team, it's going to be Spawn Legacy on Zyra, Buddha Rice on Lee Sin, Dianov on Poppy, Pooters on Lulu, and Armor on Urgot. That is Team Feel the Vibe. Going against them is Point Defense, or +5, and they're going to have Sauron on Jarvan the 4th, Lysic on Rammus, MMKH on Singed, Zabers on Ezreal, and Necrogen on Rise. That triumphant Rise. A lot of these players have that skin as they've taken the first place in this tournament here and there, and that is part of the prize pool. So ladies and gentlemen, if you want to try your hand at this tournament, you have nothing to lose. You might even win Triumphant Rise, and even if you don't the first time, practice up and you could be the next rising star. We've seen quite a few teams and quite a few summoners coming in the middle of, so far I would say, in the middle of the progression of Dominate Dominion's tournaments, and they've started consistently going into the semifinals and finals. So everyone can have a shot. It's free entry, so go ahead and check that out. So we see some starting items coming out here. We don't have anything out, but we do see Pooters with those boosts of mobility. He's gonna go crazy, and a Lulu with boosts of mobility on top of Whimsy, not something you want to deal with. Super annoying, super speedy. Of course, Zillion's CC, or if you use it on yourself, the speed boost is the longest in the game. I think it lasts 4 or 5 seconds. I'm actually not sure on that, but Lulu's is still a really good buff, and on top of that, she has a slow separately, so if she ever needs to kite, she's going to do a much better job of it. She can also do some good damage. She has a shield. I mean, she can put picks on the enemy to see if they're going to still chase or not. Lulu has a ton of utility for the Pooters playstyle, and we'll see if Pooters is able to pull that off. He goes straight for the Ghost and the Whimsy. He's just zipping through the village here. And actually, we are going to see Lysic run into him. Lysic was prepared, and this is what we like to see. Both teams kind of know each other's playstyles. Lysic is going to push away Pooters. Pooters is forced to put down that Glitter Lance and back off from that chase for now. So the Ghost has been used. And of course, Rammus does not need to use the Ghost to get there at the same time. Has that Powerball. Well, top lane, Necrogen not looking too healthy. Buddha Rice is coming. There's the stun, the heroic charge coming from Poppy. A quick kill going down to feel the vibe. Meanwhile, Zabers has put down some good damage onto a Spawn Legacy on Zyra, but Zyra is still going to be able to channel onto this tower, and now Dianov is in a little bit of danger, but Zyra is still going to be the one channeling onto this tower. They put the Ignite down to MMKH. MMKH will go down, and they should be able to capture this windmill, maybe, for Feel the Vibe, as Ezreal is coming back up. There is the plant coming from Zyra. The Mystic Shot will not hit, but the channel has been disrupted. Can Zyra finish this channel before having to back off? They are going to get the windmill, but she's at no health to try and defend, even with the tower advantage. Actually, exhaust going down on both sides. Lee Sin living for quite a lot longer than expected. Necrogen actually being forced to go back. MMKH has come in to try to help pick up the kill. Will the poison do the job? Yes, the poison trail will take out a Spawn Legacy on that Zyra. So now it's Dianov alone, but once again, the 3 cap is there in favor of Feel the Vibe. Meanwhile, bot lane, Jarvan barely picking up the kill onto Urgot and Lulu. We see this now. Lysic has been forced to go back and forth, not really being a huge power in either scene. And there's the Glitter Lance, so good against this Rammus, but Rammus does still catch up with Powerball. Powerball is such a good chasing tool, and there's a Damascus Standard. Jarvan goes right in with the Cataclysm. That's going to be the first kill down onto Pooters. Point Defense is still doing relatively well, trying to deal with this Pooters back cap, particular strategy. But they are still down 3 caps to 2. So we'll see if this is going to be able to help them turn the momentum around, or if they're just going to be able to hold off Pooters, but still, get their Nexus health chipped away bit by bit. Meanwhile, Jarvan and Urgot just dishing out some damage back and forth, but Jarvan has pushed out quite a bit. Meanwhile, top lane, Zyra has used her ultimate. She needs to live. There's the safeguard, allowing her to live with just a sliver of health. The painkiller survival method, as we have come to call it on this tournament. 50 health, anything below 100 is just craziness on this map. Meanwhile, bot lane, Pooters is running around with less than full health. So squishy, this poor Lulu cannot get away from this Rammus. Lysic is just dedicated to keeping this Lulu away from their towers. And with Powerball, Rammus is fully capable of doing so. Even with Health Picks and Glitter Lance, Rammus is always going to catch up. But can he pick up the kills faster and faster, or is it always going to be at this speed? Because then it's just going to be a form of defense, and they're not going to be able to capitalize on it. Meanwhile, Budarice has been caught a little bit out of position, but he does not go down silently. Takes out Ezreal with him, and Rise picks up the kill onto Lee Sin. Meanwhile, Ezreal has used Revive, and they're going to pinch down onto this Lulu. Lulu not in a good place. Glitter Lance will miss. Ezreal goes in with Arcane Shift, and there's no mana on Lulu. Pooter's in a ton of trouble. There's no health relic there either. Pooters will go down a second time, and this time around, we may see Point Defense going straight for the windmill. Rammus, of course, is at low resources, but he should be able to contribute just enough to help capture this tower, seeing as how Rise and Singed are both at full health. They have some good mana, and Ezreal also in the same situation. Trying to put out some poke as they siege down onto this windmill, and there's the taunt onto Poppy. Poppy is caught in a little bit of trouble, but there's the ultimate coming out, gets flipped, and is taking DOT from Singe. The ult is on Singe. The damage over time is too much for Poppy to handle. Poppy goes down. There's still 3 people left for Point Defense as they try to siege down onto Spawn Legacy, and here comes Budarice on Lee Sin, dishing out a lot of damage. Wow, Field of Vibe is still holding on to this windmill, and Point Defense is just forced to retreat. They haven't really made a mark just yet, and here comes Pooters going down onto the drill. Ezreal is forced to come back and stop this before being able to go back, but Lysik, of course, comes out with the Revive and the Powerball. A speedy Armadillo, not the best friend for this poor Yordle. And Ezreal comes in from the side with the Arcane Shift, does get hit by the Glitter Lance though, so we'll just have to go back to base to heal as he originally meant to. And here comes Singed, and there's the adhesive. Can he get the flip onto Lulu? Budarice has shown up. Pooters looks to be going down, but what can Budarice do here? No, he does not want to fight 1v2, at least not just yet. He doesn't have that many items. He only has a Brutalize and a Ruby Crystal aside from the Prospector's Blade, so he's going to back off. He's actually going to get flipped by Singed, and he's just fine with that because he didn't want to be a part of any of that fighting. And the action has lulled a little bit. Spawn Legacy actually just looking to do some kiting here and poking, but there's Ezreal coming over the wall. Wants to go for that aggressive kill, especially as they have actually captured the quarry. So Point Defense does have the damage buff, and they now have the 3 cap. They have a 3-to-1 cap, and Jarvan goes in, almost takes out Pooters, and there's the exhaust onto Armor. This Urgot not in a good place, but there's a wild growth. Sauron should be going down here. The shutdown goes to Armor. Can Rise pick up a kill? Necrogen choosing not to chase. They're content with keeping that tower, and they now have a 4 cap. Point Defense suddenly changing this around. They were able to capture the quarry. They got the buff, and then they just went full out on towards the windmill, taking it away without any competition. Meanwhile, Dianov comes in with a heroic charge, but that's gonna put the poor Poppy in a bad place. 2 Yordles caught between all this just the angry Jarvan, the angry Armadillo. Then there's Rise, not a good place to be. Pooters is going to go down. Wow, that is a lot of burst damage coming up from Jarvan with that combo. Meanwhile, Ezreal is going to take an uncontested Storm Shield and going to show up. But bot lane, there's still some fighting going on. Jarvan gets the knockup. Can they? Oh, the Cataclysm goes down, denying the retreat into base. Great Cataclysm. Once again, as I mentioned, just the narrowness. Budarice actually going to go down up top. Will they chase Spawn Legacy? No, Spawn Legacy is going to back off, and they're just going to be content pushing out the lane. Point Defense is looking really strong right now, but Pooters is going through the middle. Will Pooters get spotted? Can they react fast enough, or at least take the refinery to maintain their 4 cap? Pooters has not been spotted, but we do have the True Shot Barrage. So will Ezreal pop that over as soon as they see Lulu channeling? Nope. They're just going to go ahead and trade. Oh, we do see the True Shot Barrage. Will it stop the neutralize? It's coming, and it will hit. Stopping the neutralize barely in time for Necrogen to show up. Meanwhile, Poppy gets the shutdown onto Singe, but Budarice on Lee Sin, not looking too healthy. Point Defense has taken the refinery, and Poppy is now in the run. The neutralize does go down by Pooters. Pooters picks up the health relic, but Necrogen is chasing. He is significantly slower, but here comes Lysik, but Lysik is at very, very low health. He realizes this. He wants to run away. He needs to make sure he puts up the defensive ball curl. He doesn't want anything to do with that. Meanwhile, mid lane, we do see another kill. A killing spree going down for Ezreal, while Armor on Urgot is going to finally try to take back this refinery for Feel the Vibe. Meanwhile, the quarry actually is still neutral, and Sauron jumping in with that combo, and Zabers decides to come back in to help, but here's the Zyra ultimate. That's going to put out a ton of free damage onto Jarvan as he's knocked up into the air with that buffed up plant with 50% attack speed. And oh, Zabers not in a happy place, just trying to stall as long as possible, will get shut down by Poppy. So everything is returning a little bit to status quo, but look at the points. We have point defense sitting at 350 to 250, and I just realized I completely went against what I said and started calling them point defense and not +5. That's just what I'm more used to, so bear with me as I consistently call the red team point defense. That is their full name though, so I'm not saying anything completely wrong, just against what I said before. And we do see a little bit slowdown action, some more poking going down. Dionov actually does get caught by an excellent combo over the wall, and Sauron goes on ahead and snatches that health relic away from this Poppy. Meanwhile, Lysik and Pooter's gonna go ahead and duel, and of course the Armadillo does win out for now, but can the Lulu get away? Here comes the Powerball. If Lysik chases correctly, oh, he's actually gonna try to get the cutoff with the health relic and then the runaway from Pooter's. Can he get, no, the Glitter Lance is gonna stop him right at the edge, but Necrogen has shown up, so Pooter's gonna go ahead and just keep distracting. Pooter's goal is not to pick up kills. Pooter's goal is to possibly pick up towers, but at least keep more of the enemy distracted so his teammates can do their work. But it's not been really working out. Spawn Legacy goes down. I mean, just individual members of Field of Vibe keep getting picked off here and there. Dionov gets caught by Necrogen, decides to back off right away, and is now forced to defend against this refinery. And that's what I was saying in the pregame lobby. If both teams are prepared for this, the Pooter's method is not going to be as effective as it would be against teams who are not fully aware of what Pooter's has in mind. I mean, you can clearly tell that Lysik chose Rammus, with the full intention of saying, I'm going to stop Pooter's. I'm going to kill him several times. I'm going to take him down and make sure he doesn't ever think about taking a tower. And point defense once again has a 3-cap. Meanwhile, Jarvan bot lane is going to go ahead and take that quarry. A 4-cap. Buddha Rice and Spawn Legacy got a little bit of a consolation reward here at the fight, or the fight at the refinery rather, but it's not going to be enough. They still only have 1 cap and it's 340 to 166. Pooters is still running amok at this drill and sees Singe, and actually Singe, MMK just runs right by and not going to happen anything right there. And meanwhile, Dionov and Armor team together to take down Sauron, but Sauron's going to be okay with that. He's in no rush to come right back alive. There isn't much need. Of course, his revive is also down. Meanwhile, Storm Shield battle going up top between Zabers and Buddha Rice, and here comes Singe with the adhesive, going to toss that Zyra back in. This Lee Sin is taking too much damage with that exhaust. Can Ezreal lifesteal out of it? No! The True Barrage gets denied because the ultimate from Lee Sin is a lot quicker, and that's going to be just the same burst damage. Lee Sin picks up the kill. Meanwhile, Sin's just going to pick up 1 kill. Can he pick up the kill onto Lee Sin? If he can get a poison trail and then a fling. Oh, it doesn't even need a fling. The adhesive was good enough to keep Lee Sin locked down on his poison trail, and Singe is just going to happily jog down the lane. But he's going to run into some heavy opposition. Necrogen is by his side, but Dionov, the fight is split, and this is actually in the favor of point defense. They will be able to join right back in, but now it's a 3v2, so they do need to split up and run. Necrogen needs to get out of there. He's going to go ahead and put the Rune Prison, but he keeps getting caught by this Lee Sin, and there's Dionov gonna pick up the kill. And Zyra actually going on straight up for the windmill. It is the objective, so if they get that, Field of Vibe may have a comeback chance here. Meanwhile, Lysik trying to cut off Buddha Rice. Lee Sin actually jumps back with the Resonating Strike. Can he get out alive? The True Shot Barrage is coming up, but he jukes it. He fakes it out, and Buddha Rice is on the run. We do see the Rammus Powerball coming through, but they're actually going to give it the chase because Pooters has shown up. What an escape coming out from this Lee Sin. Lee Sin actually picks up the kill onto Rammus. What just happened? Completely missed it. Trying to watch whether Pooters was going to be able to capture that tower or get away. But there's kills going left and right all across the map. Meanwhile, Ezreal does finally find Buddha Rice. Going to pick up that kill. Jarvan has found Pooters though, so Pooters not in a good position. Pooters will go down and Armor will be stocked there. Meanwhile, Dionov with a sliver of health is going to pick up the refinery back in favor of Feel the Vibe. So Feel the Vibe back with the 3-cap. They had that damage buff. As I mentioned, Zyra making that smart play. Going for that objective. It didn't have much health left, so going for the quick channel as everyone was scattered about. Necrogen just going to go ahead and step on those seeds to make sure no plants can be spawned. That's one thing you can do to prevent it. If you can get to the seed first, you can step on it and it will give them vision, but it will deny the plants, and Zyra not in a good place. 3v1 will get bursted down immediately. However, Zabers has taken quite a bit of damage, and Dionov has come speeding up, trying to disrupt the channel, keeping the tower alive, but will go down eventually. 3 people is just too much for one person to try to disrupt without keeping it channeled. Meanwhile, bot lane, we have a 3v2 fight. Lee Sin is going down so fast, and there's the true shot barrage. Lee Sin will go down. Sauron and Lysik are still alive against Armor and Pooters. They're putting out a ton of damage. Can this Urgot dish out the damage he needs? No, he's exhausted, and here comes Necrogen. That's going to be 2 kills. Can Sauron and Lysik continue chasing? The Lysik's going to stay and channel onto this tower alongside that Rise. And Sauron's going to keep chasing on this Jarvan. Goes in with the Cactus. Look at that damage. Just the health bar getting decimated on Pooters. Lulu goes down once again. And as Pooters keeps getting taken out by one champion or another, Feel the Vibe is going to start to feel the hurt of not having that extra revive. As much as Pooters has been trying to keep up his trademark play, he's distracted quite a few people well enough, but not well enough is what I meant to say, because he still has been taken down 6 times within only 14 minutes. Point Defense is prepared to make sure Feel the Vibe pays for this, and late game, Rammus is going to be able to get back in the game after having a long chase and taking a few pokes from Glitterlance. Meanwhile, 3v2 happening bot. Jarvan's going to go in, quickly burst down Urgot, and there is Lee Sin caught in between 2 champions with nowhere to move, and this bottom quarry will go to Point Defense. Meanwhile, at the drill, it's a 2v1 against Rammus. Rammus is going to go down. Can they get the counter pickup onto this drill? No, Ezreal and Rammus. Rammus has come back up with the revive, so Rammus is going to get there just fine. Zara's ultimate does come up. It's going to knock them up, but the tower is still in favor of Point Defense, so if they fight into the tower, Point Defense has a significant lead. Meanwhile, Zaber's actually being able to duel Dianov without much issue. Has taken some hurt, but of course he started at full health, so he's going to be just healthy. And look at this 4-cap. What an unconventional 4-cap. I mean, Windmill is open in favor of Feel the Vibe, and here's a fight at the refinery. Lee Sin's gonna get bursted down. I can't believe Point Defense is holding on to all 4 of these caps away from their base so well. They're holding on to this just absolutely fine. Meanwhile, Rammus gets taken down by Zara under the tower, but Sabers is gonna take down Pooters, and that's 240 to 60, and just chipping down chunk by chunk against Feel the Vibes. Next is Sauron, meanwhile, putting out a lot of burst damage onto Armor. If the Rune Prison can come down, it comes down, and there's the Overload picking up the kill. Dianov is now dancing with Zabers. These Yordles just keep wanting to dance with Ezreal, but Ezreal's going to dance in and out of the bush. Oh, dodges the True Shot Barrage, walking right around him. And Jarvan has shown up though, so Pooter's not going to be able to go ahead and get... Oh, the excellent prediction on the jump over the wall with the knockup. Sauron picks up yet another kill, and we do have Urgot finally being able to channel onto this tower as Necrogen is trying to duel out Buddha Rice. Necrogen should be able to get the kill here with that overload, but he's going to have to back off. So Feel the 5 finally gets one of their towers back, but is it going to be enough? They only have a few seconds left before they can even stop the clock, let alone start chipping back up. Zabers is doing so much damage, has that Brutalizer, has the Triforce, and he's going for that last Whisper. Kills going ever on the map. Meanwhile, MMK just caught with Armor, but here comes Sauron. This Singe is just trying to live long enough for backup to come. Of course, Urgot's quite tanky himself, but if Point Defense can keep the enemy busy, they're going to be in favor. 3-1 cap, 2-1, but the clock is ticking down, and Point Defense will take this game in round 2 against Feel the Vibe. Wow, just so much action, and that's regardless of win or lose. If you have Pooters in the game, you're gonna have kills going down left and right, because at the very least, Pooters is gonna be away from his team at the other side of the map, and there will always be action or at least a fun chase to watch. So good attempt, but man, Point Defense was ready for that. They had a plan to lock down Pooters and make them pay for trying to just run around Speedy without that revive. And Feel the Vibe did pay. They had a little bit of a lead, but as soon as Point Defense caught up in momentum, it immediately turned around. So that's round 2. Point Defense will be moving up, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with a round 3 update.